Hello everyone and welcome to PDTV. Thank you for coming to the channel. Please like and subscribe. If like me, you like a little bit of history and a little bit of geography, then this is the place for you. On these shows, we'll be taking a look at what is under the skin of English villages. We'll be taking a look into the past at old maps and the geology in order to see how they developed and what might have impacted where you live. If you want me to do your village, street, city, house, then leave the location in the comments below. Please don't leave full addresses, and we'll take a look at them in future videos. Today we're going to be looking at an English town 27 miles due south of London, here named East Grinstead. Now, East Grinstead has become a magnet over the past few decades, with sects such as Mormonism, Scientology, Opus Dei, and the Rosicrucians setting up their headquarters in its vicinity. The area has also attracted, according to the Daily Mail, devil worshippers and druids who like to conduct their ceremonies in the area. So what could be the attraction of East Grinstead? Well, the name East Grinstead comes from the green place or the green stead. And green places are nice to be, but there are a lot around. So why this one in particular? Well, some say that it is the fact that several ley lines intersect the town of East Grinstead. Ley lines apparently being the straight features in the landscape or the pathways of the ancient inhabitants of the earth. And some people believe that these ley lines have a special energy and spiritual power, and that where they intersect, that power is doubled or tripled. So it could be that. But let's take a look under the hood, and we will begin by looking at the geology of East Grinstead. Exciting. So we can see here, East Grinstead is surrounded by hills, and as such, there's not much superficial geology, that being the sedimentary deposits overlying the bedrock. But the geology is important because a lot of time in towns, the geology will inform the use, such as coal mining towns or towns where there's lots of clay, there might be brickworks. So what do we have in East Grinstead? Well, we can see here this kind of light brown, yellowish, beige area is the Ardingly Sandstone member, and that dates back to approximately 134 to 139 million years ago in the Cretaceous period. And if we take a look at this green section, we can see we have the Grinstead clay member, which is a mudstone sedimentary bedrock from around 134 to 139 million years ago, again the Cretaceous period, and the local environments were previously dominated by swamps, estuaries, and deltas. But what is the earliest record we can find of activity in the area of East Grinstead? If we take a look back at the very earliest activity that we found in the East Grinstead region, we can see something like this. These are ancient hand axes made from flint. Flint was readily available in the South Downs with its chalky and limestone outcrops. We can see these ones here. These are from the Mesolithic era up to 10,000 years ago. More recent activity, or I say recent, can be found in Roman Britain. We've got some small settlements. You can see here these purple dots on the outskirts of East Grinstead. This one to the southwest on Ridge Hill Manor. There was activity there from 75 AD to 300 AD estimated, and that was iron production. So there was an industrial site there, and there was another industrial site of iron production just out here to the east. And it was a place called Great Cansine that estimated that there was activity there from 50 AD to 250 AD. East Grinstead itself is a Saxon settlement, and the first mention in the records comes in the Domesday Book. We can see here that the household was mentioned as having 3 villages, and it was on the land of Count Robert Matane. The land resources, plough land, there were 5 plough hands, 3 plough teams, and other resources, pastures grazing for pigs, and woodland, 2 swine rendered. So the valuation, so the annual value for the Lord in 1066 was £1, and then in 1086 it went down to 15 shillings, there being 20 shillings in the pound. We can see that the overlord in 1066 was King Edward. Obviously that changed when William the Conqueror came in, and the lord was a wool fever. Now, the interesting thing here is that the Lord in 1086 changes to a William. And now wool fever really loses out because at the time when William the Conqueror conquers the area in 1066, he has 18 settlements and areas under his control. And then later on, he just disappears. But the Lord William, he kind of gets away with more because we can see 1066 he has Ashford, Hayden, Littlebury, and Strettle, but he must have sucked up to William the Conqueror something chronic because after the conquest he was lord of, we can see down here, Acton, Adworthy, Alswick, Franch, Ribblesford, and 278 more. So he went from 4 to 283. Man, that guy got rich, and he got rich fast. Just look at the list. That's unreal. Lucky guy. Now, the earliest map I was able to find with East Grinstead on it was from 1646, and this is the map of Sussex in Kent. And we can see East Grinstead just here near the border with Surrey. It shows it has a church and a small tributary running to the south, and it is in the 100 of East Grinstead. So at least by the 1600s, East Grinstead had grown, but let's see what it looks like as it grows on some more recent maps. In the mid-1700s, from 1745 to 1746, here in the UK, we had the Jacobite Rebellion in Scotland. And following that little tete-a-tete, William Roy of the Royal Engineers was ordered by the Crown to start the Ordnance Survey. And the Ordnance Survey is the mapping standard here in the UK and going out throughout the world. So he was first ordered to map Scotland, and then later in the 18th century, that was extended to the whole of Great Britain. And we can see that he started, the Ordnance Survey was actually founded UK-wide or Great Britain-wide in 1790. And then over the next 50 or 60 years, they put all these concrete posts, triangulation points, or trig points as we call them here in the UK, on top of all the big hills so that we could triangulate all the distances and where all the villages and cities were. So mapping really got a lot better at the end of the 18th century, but more specifically when they recalculated everything and published a full set of maps of Great Britain in 1858. So if we take a little jump forward to 1911 edition, we can see East Grinstead here, and yeah, Sod's Law was that they've cut East Grinstead in half in the north here, but we can still deal with it. East Grinstead is grown. It's got several railway lines heading out of the town now, and it was really benefiting by the main road running from London to Lewes right through the middle. A lot of traffic and traders coming through over the years helped the town to grow. But now that we've got these lovely detailed maps, it's time to drill down into a couple of specific locations. And I think the best for us to look at now would be the Mormon castle or temple and the Scientology castle, or where L. Ron Hubbard himself was in residence, as well as Tom Cruise for 3 months during lockdown. Apparently he liked it there. So if we look on this map, St. Hill Manor appears on the 1911 map because it was constructed by Gibbs Crawford well, I guess he didn't construct it. It was paid for by Gibbs Crawford in 1792. This is the Scientology headquarters for the UK, and Cock Robin Wood, interestingly named. So we'll keep an eye on how that area progresses. I think looking at the current maps, there's not much happens there, but there's one other site, the Mormon Castle. Let's take a look there. Heading north out of East Grinstead on the old Roman road, we can see an area called Godstone, and more specifically Froggatt Heath and New Chapel Farm, where the Mormon temple will be constructed later in the 20th century. I'm sure the Mormons amongst you will find it ever so exciting that it's called Godstone and New Chapel Farm, because that's all very religious connotations and different things there. Okay, fast forward to 1937, post World War One, pre World War Two, and we can see that the area of Froggatt Heath remains much the same, but if we zoom in here, New Chapel Farm has become New Chapel House and possibly ceased its operation as a working farm. Post World War II now, and we have some colour in our lives. We go to 1961, East Grinstead here, and if we head north along the Roman Road again, we can see the area of New Chapel now. And we've still got New Chapel House just here. The town of East Grinstead by this point is really starting to kick off. We can see the whole central area covered by buildings and a large conurbation. It's really becoming a town in a commuter belt for central London. At this time in 1961, L. Ron Hubbard was now resident at St. Hill Manor with his family. He said later in a lecture that he was at a casino in London and he was gambling with the Maharaja of Jaipur. And the Maharaja lost big and needed to sell up to settle his gambling debts. And L. Ron Hubbard in 1959 purchased the manor for £58,000, which seems a bit of a snip for a big manor, but I guess back then it was a lot of money. And he lived there until 1966, but maintained the property, and it became the home of Scientology here in the UK. Looking at our last map for today in 1970, St. Hill Manor remains pretty much unchanged. And again, if we head up this wonderful Roman road, not so straight, we can see we now have a church on the map. And this is the Mormon Castle or the Mormon Temple. And that was built and dedicated in 1958. But interestingly, on the 1961 map, it wasn't labeled as a church yet. And it wasn't until this update in the 70s that they got that change. Some of you may or may not be wondering what the impact of World War II had on East Grinstead. And one of those impacts is unexploded ordnance. We're forever finding here in the UK unexploded bombs that the Germans dropped on us, and East Grinstead being quite close to London, you'd expect there to be a lot of them. But we can see East Grinstead here on this map in the yellow region. That's low risk. So if you want to go and plant some marrows in the garden, then go for it. You are unlikely to find anything there. And that goes for St. Hill Manor just south there. But if you head north again up the Roman Road, you can see New Chapel here is in the slightly orange zone. And that means that there is more of a risk. It's a medium risk that you may find an unexploded ordnance in your garden. And that is probably one, due to the proximity to London, and two, its proximity here to this World War II airfield at Beaver Farm. So that's your lot for East Grinstead. Who knows why all of those sects ended up there, why the Druids or the devil worshippers keep going back there. But we know from today that it had a long and interesting history. Again, please like and subscribe, share the channel wherever you feel comfortable. And if you want me to take a look at what is under the skin of where you live, then drop me a pin or a place in the comments below, and we'll take a look in a future video. But for now, I've been PD, you've been great, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.